and welcome to Binge with me, Alex Jones.
And me, Harry Judd.
Now this week, Harry is going to talk about the show that has pushed Mr Inbetween on Disney off the top spot for him.
Oh, Al, it is so good.
You are so excited about it.
Also find out how our guest Jenni Falconer has finally persuaded Alex to watch Yellowstone.
And I will give you my review of the book that's making some women leave their husbands.
And this week, it's not just TV shows, books and films and podcasts. Our recommendation net has been cast ever wider as we recommend apps and children party locations.
And on top of all of that, we have a good old whinge. Binge becomes whinge, mostly about the kids.
Well, I want to ask you first, because last week you revealed for Teddy's birthday that you were going to the Natural History Museum for a sleepover.
Yeah, Dinah snores.
Talk to me.
Well, you were sceptical,
Very.
as per usual. I have to say, it was the most incredible thing we have done with Teddy since he was born.
Really?
We honestly had the best night of our lives. It was so brilliant and unique. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I better take some games because what we're going to do in the downtime.
Yeah.
I mean, the sleeping thing was a bit of a pain. A yoga mat, it wasn't that comfortable.
Al, how much did you sleep?
Nothing.
That's
awful.
awful.
No sleeping.
Really?
Yeah.
Did the boys sleep? His friends sleep?
They fell asleep about 1:30.
Oh, my God.
And then they woke up at about 5:30.
Oh, Lord. Was there anyone else there doing sleepovers?
Oh, my God, there were hundreds of
Really?
people. So I'll tell you, we got to the museum. There was a massive queue. Charlie's instantly thinking, what have we done?
Yeah.
There were just tons of people, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we finally got into the museum and it was like a well-oiled machine. So brilliant. In the main hall, they were like packed like sardines around the glass cases. They had activities back to back with a bit of snack time in between until 11:30. And it was really good quality stuff.
Good quality activities.
Yeah, there was like the top paleontologist was there telling them all about his job. Then they gave them games to do.
Okay.
They got to handle proper bones of different animals.
Okay.
There were quizzes. There was like a torchlight tour in the dinosaur section. They honestly loved it.
What evening did you go?
So we went Friday. Then,
So you had the weekend to recover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is key.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the kind of activities, which finished at 11:30, they did a bedtime story on the stairs in the main hall, which was just lovely.
Yeah.
And the boys were a bit skeptical because I think they were tired and they said, we're not sure about this, but they went, they loved it. Mm-hmm. Got into their sleeping bags and then they were messing about. You can imagine running into glass cabinets. My heart was in my throat.
Were other kids doing this as well, messing about?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
it was
carnage.
like free for all.
But there are a couple of like security guards? Or
Yeah, there
like...
were security guards, but then they woke up at 5:30 and they went in their socks and they were like, Mama, the alligators moved.
No.
Yeah, so they were fully into it. They fully thought the animals had come alive. And then the next morning, it was a bit like being on a ferry, you know, when everybody slept in their clothes and everybody's in the loo brushing their teeth. It would have been
Race
hell
Across the
for
World.
you.
Oh.
But we all had breakfast and then that was the best bit the next morning because we had 2.5 hours and they set up this scavenger hunt and they had 2.5 hours of free reign in the museum before it opened to the public. Mm-hmm. It honestly amazing.
What
Charlie
did you
and I
do during those 2 hours?
went with them. We loved it.
Really?
Honestly,
Okay.
they all had head torches on. It was the best thing we've done. Highly recommend it. And Ted said, Mama, that was the best birthday ever.
Oh, that's
I know.
what you want.
We were knackered.
What
going
did
home.
you do on Saturday?
Oh my God. And then we had all the family come in for like a little tea party with Ted. Well, he couldn't speak. I've never seen him so quiet. Mute. Completely mute. And then we spent all of yesterday doing head lice treatment.
Well, we've been back on head lice treatment as well. Yeah.
So just to bring things down to earth with a massive bump. So if my hair's looking greasy, Harry, I'm so sorry, but I've got just 5 minutes in it. So what can I tell you?
Yeah, Izzy got the comb out as well. God, it's
Really?
a bore. I mean, my hair's short, so I
Is
don't
it knit
get
season then or what?
Well, it seems at the beginning of every term. It's
Well,
knit
Friday
season.
I was like, Annie's really itching. What's going on here?
Have you ever had? Is it the mother, like the big one? Have you ever found the big one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I took Lola swimming once, and I was like drying her hair, and out it came in the front of her.
No.
And I was like,
The thing is, they're not small.
No,
they're not
big.
tiny. So we got the microscope out, inspired by the Natural History Museum. We laid them all out on the tissue, and we had a good look at them all.
Really?
It was disgusting.
Oh, it's gross.
There was honestly, I found 7 in Annie's hair. 7.
But if everyone in the school isn't participating in this like combing and washing, then it's pointless.
Thank you.
So
I think there should be a national
nits,
petition thing.
Yes, there should. I was
Yeah.
about to say otherwise everyone should shave their heads off, but that maybe is a bit extreme.
That's a little bit 1940s.
Yeah, that is
isn't
a bit extreme.
Yeah.
Any other news?
So, highs and lows.
Highs and lows, knits and Natural History Museum.
It's been a lovely weekend, but, game of two halves, shall we say.
Nice. Well, I've
have you
not
been
got
doing?
much to report, really. I've been, doing my marathon training.
How's it going?
It's good.
Because it's soon, isn't it? April.
April. No, I've got quite a while. I've got about 13 weeks. It's a 16-week plan I've got. I'm up to 18K for my long runs, 20 next week, and so on.
20?
Yeah, it just keeps building and building.
How much is that in miles?
20 is about 12, about 11,
That's
12
all
miles.
right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, okay. So at
For
the
you,
moment,
Forrest, that's
I'm doing
nothing.
about 55 a week, 55K
Okay.
a week. That will build up to about 80K a week. So that's what in miles.
Okay,
that's
80K
like 60
sounds-
miles a week, 50, 60 miles a
That
week.
sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's good. It's going well.
You look really healthy, though.
Do I look fresh?
Yeah, is that because of
I
the
think it's the
marathon?
skincare routine. Skincare routine.
Skincare routine.
That I talked about.
Well, that went down a storm. People have been stopping me on the street and going, what are those vitamin things that Harry's using on his face? I said, I don't know. It's vitamin C. I'll ask him. So what is it?
So do you know what happened this morning?
What?
Literally 20 minutes before this recording, I was doing my skincare routine and I went to get the little pipette off the vitamin C bottle and I hadn't screwed it on properly yesterday and it fell and spilt. And I literally was like, no! I literally did that. I was like, no, it's like the golden serum. Ah. And I was there like trying to pipette it off the back in. And I was like,
well, no, you can't, because then he'll have stuff. It'll be contaminated.
Oh, God, it was... But thankfully, I only lost about half the bottle. Also, one morning, Friday morning, I went to the coffee shop with Lockie. I dropped Lola and Kit off at school, and then I took Lockie to a coffee shop. Someone came up to me, and I thought, she would say, I like McFly, or I saw you on Race Across the World, or something like that. I love Binge, she said.
Wow.
Yes, she said, I love Binge.
Which coffee shop were you in?
Gales in Kew.
Nice.
Yeah. And she was like,
So
I
these
love
are,
it.
these are fussy people.
These
live in
are
Kew.
fussy
Go to
people.
Gales.
Yes.
This is good, Harry.
And I was like, oh, do you? Oh, thanks. And
If we've broken the Gales audience, we're doing something right.
so that was one of my weekend highlights. No, sorry, Friday week highlights. In fact,
Great.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a guest in today.
Yes.
And I'm worried, Harry.
Why?
'Cause
Oh, I
just
know
think
why you're worried.
It's going to be running chat. And I love this guest. It's Jenni Falconer.
Yes.
Known very much for her brilliant running.
Yes.
And you can't wait, can you, to compare marathon notes?
Well, look, I'm not in charge of the edit of this podcast, so I'm not sure how much running chat is going to get in, but we certainly will be discussing running, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got a sign ready just in case it gets too much that I can hold up and say, shut up.
Just talking about my week and highlights of the week, genuinely, highlight of the week was watching American Primeval.
Really?
I would go as far as to say that it's possibly my favourite series ever.
That is high praise.
It's top 3 for sure.
See, now I'm a little bit disappointed because we had that terrible thing this week, which was ironic considering we do this podcast, where we sat there and scrolled for an hour, couldn't decide. Mum and Dad are in the house, so that makes it a little bit more tricky.
Were you hovering over American Primeval?
Charlie said, please, can we watch this? I've heard amazing things. I said, I don't like the poster.
That literally, American Primeval, when I read the synopsis and saw the trailer, I was like, this is literally my idea of a perfect series. It's history, so it's set 1857.
Yeah.
It's a Western. It's drama, it's gritty, it's intense, and it just, oh my God, it lived up to it. It was insane.
So this is on Netflix, isn't it?
It is on Netflix, yeah. And, recently, since doing Binge, people always say to me, oh, okay, you've been watching a lot of stuff. What would you recommend? I've been recommending Mr. Inbetween. As my top one, American Primeval's taken over.
Oh my gosh, it's
yeah.
pipped Mr. Inbetween to the top.
It's so good that the only problem is I don't know what to watch now because nothing is going to compare.
Hang on, have you done it all?
Finished it, yeah.
Right, so many questions, but mainly, where the hell have you had time to do that?
And that's what the lady in Gales asked me as well. Where do you find all the time to watch this? Because bear in mind, I've also finished season 2 of Squid Games. Al, this podcast is called Binge, right?
I know, but we still got to live.
Yeah, well...
Still got to take responsibility for your children.
Look,
still got to do head lice treatment.
I put those kids to bed and I binge hard. I'm committed to this podcast.
Okay, how many episodes is this?
6 episodes. Oh, God, it's flawless. The acting is insane.
I want to see it.
The story, it's based on real events,
okay,
right?
Tell me synopsis of the story.
So, 1857, based in Utah, America, and it's basically the battle for territory in Utah between the Mormons, Native Americans, the US government and the army, and you've got the pioneers, so like original settlers. And the real event that happens is the Mountain Meadow Massacre, which is undertaken by Mormons and a few Native Americans that they draft in, and they do it in masks. I don't want to spoil too much. And that then sets the premise for the rest of the series. There's also a mother and a son traveling across these territories to try and get to the dad and the husband. It is incredible. There's about 3 or 4 different stories going on at the same time that are all interlinked. It is brutal. It's gritty. It is violent, very violent. It's like I was watching it in the cinema, but I was obviously at home with my iPad. It was so intense and so powerful, and I was completely gripped. The script, the cinematography, everything about it. You know, we're talking horses climbing up the mountains with snow, and there's Native Americans, and there's
horses climbing up the mountain with snow.
There's arrows flying across, and there's it's just carnage.
But we've got it up on the screen here on the telly in McFly HQ, and it says 66% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that for me, Rotten Tomatoes has lost all credibility.
Wow.
Because IMDb says 8.2 out of 10. It should be 10 out of 10, but Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, that's just absolute rubbish. It was incredible.
Okay, I think we'll now give that a go. Okay, well...
And also, Squid Game Season 2 is really good, but just nothing compared to... I mean, not that you compare the two, because they're not comparable, but Squid Game Season 2 is also very good, although totally random. It finishes... It's 7 episodes. Normally, a season would be 6 or 8. I mean, it doesn't have to be an even number.
I don't like 7.
It finished on 7. And also, when the episode finished, I was like, right, better go to sleep. The next day, went to watch episode 8, and it was the end of the season. I was like, what? It was just felt like it was building and building, and you're about to reach this climax. It's like, what's going to happen at the end? And it was like, that's the end of the season.
Okay, well, I won't bother with that then.
It was really, I don't think, have you seen season 1 Squid Games?
No, but I told you last week, Kit watched it, a bit of it, who's 5. It's not ideal and it's not great parenting, but now he's obsessed with it. He's like, I want to watch the squid thing.
Oh, God,
I'm like,
no, definitely.
So we've had to just not even talk about it, so we definitely can't watch it.
Well, Mr Beast does his own version of Squid Game, so maybe that's a child-friendly one. Because I can't imagine he's killing people on his YouTube channel.
It just makes me think, how dark is Kit's brain? This is worrying. This is a whole different podcast. Okay, right. Well, we hovered over things for ages, didn't know what to watch, ended up with a recommendation that we've had from one of our listeners.
Yes.
I think it was Emma from Ramsgate.
Gosh, you've got a good
Thank
memory.
Thank God for notes, eh? And it was Breeders, which started on Sky and is now on Netflix. This has got Martin Freeman in it and Daisy Haggard. Honestly, Harry, if you want to laugh, it's dark comedy, right?
Okay.
This, you will be like watching yourself in life. Now, it's dark comedy. It's all based on the trials and tribulations of parenting, written by Martin Freeman, Simon Blackwell, and Chris Addison. It's just watching your own life.
Oh, God.
But it's very sweary.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my life is very sweary.
He calls his kids CUNTs at one point. He loses it, right? And he goes, shut up, you!
How old are his kids in this?
4 and 7.
Woo! I haven't gone far as dropping the C-bomb on my kids yet.
Neither have I. Neither have I, but never say never. No. Hopefully we won't get there. But what I did love about it is just, you just feel better about yourself.
Well, how many times, okay, real talk, right? How many times did you, lose your temper this weekend? How many times did you shout this weekend?
About only once this weekend.
Okay.
Charlie, probably 4 times.
Yeah, I think 3 for me.
When the boys were trying to go to sleep in the museum, he started off fun dad. Okay, boys, let's settle down now.
Yeah.
Then it became, shh. Then it became, boys, we're going to have to separate you in a minute. and then he went, right, shut up now.
Right, that's it. That's my one.
And I was like, oh, fun dad's left the museum, guys.
Yeah, that is straight out of the notebook of Emma Judd. Right, that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
Right, slap on the knee.
Yeah.
Right, that's enough.
And it's the gap after the right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The pause. But Martin Freeman is basically all of us.
Okay, brilliant.
And I feel sorry for the actors, though, because I worry about them and the effect this is going to have on them, because they hear a lot of F words and C bombs in this. But it is absolutely brilliant. Episodes are short. It's good for a little filler. Yeah. Quick shout out to the book.
Mm-hmm. What book?
You're going to glaze over, but I'm going to say it anyway because loads of our listeners will want to know.
All Fours.
Angela mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Did G mention it?
Pandora mentioned it. Mm-hmm. G mentioned it. Abby Morgan, I think, might have mentioned it. This is All Fours by Miranda July. I have now finished it. Yeah. I'm still married by the skin of our teeth. No, I'm joking. I'm still married, but it's a great book. It's about, in general, a woman who hits her 40s. She's kind of mid-40s, and she's a writer, and she has a bit of a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And what happens the other end? She stays married, but it's a different marriage.
Wow.
Not one we could cope with.
Is it an open marriage?
Basically, she's a writer. She goes on a road trip to New York. That should take her a week of driving, but she ends up staying in a motel 25 minutes away. Really? You can see how people end up doing things like this. She gets some interior designers in to give the motel room a makeover and lives there for 3 weeks.
Really?
Starts seeing a younger boy, but remains married.
Really?
But the marriage is different going forward.
Does the husband know about this younger boy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and he's okay with it?
Not really.
Okay.
There's a lot. It's a very good book about kind of how your brain and body changes when you hit your 40s.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
I won't say any more. ... But it's worth a read. I really loved it.
Full of it this week with the recommendations. I think it's time for guests, wouldn't you say? Right, let's get Jenny on, shall we?
Okay. Joining us now is the host of Smooth Breakfast, the co-founder of Colo Health, and the voice behind RunPod, a podcast, my goodness, with over 400 episodes. Wow. And it's approaching its 6th anniversary. We're far behind that. On top of all of that, she's a very busy mum, and she's training for the 2025 London Marathon. It's, of course, Jenni Falconer. Hi, Jenny.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast.
Well, it's a pleasure. Obviously, I came on yours recently.
You did indeed.
And I've had a few comments on my social media and my Strava account. I heard you on the RunPod, and I thought I'd give you a follow.
Do you have your Strava account as a public account?
I do, actually, yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Does that not just show where you live?
We're already talking about Strava.
No. But
what's a Strava?
Oh, I know that you're on it as well.
Don't pretend.
Is it?
What's
What
Strava?
is it?
It's basically an app that tracks all your fitness, but mainly used by runners and cyclists. But you can use it for swimming.
If it's
gym
not on
workouts.
Strava, you haven't done it.
Exactly. That's basically the saying. If it's not on Strava, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Hang on. Sorry. What is this, an app? Do I need it?
Well, I think you do, because you get your profile, you do your run, it logs your run. You can then look at your run. You can look at how the run went, how fast you were going, how far you went, the route you took. Your mates can give you kudos for your run.
Okay.
If you're then training for a marathon and you've got different types of training runs, like interval sessions, you can then look at your stats. Something that maybe doesn't sound appealing, but once you get into running, it's like good. The Bible for runners.
But it's good for walking. You can do it for skiing. I went on recently, and all my skiing's on it. And it's just nice. It kind of shows your friends where you are and what you're doing. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm just always glad when it's over. That's all I need to know is end is near.
Oh, I think it's kind of like Facebook for exercise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jenny, you know what I want to ask you is, because obviously you run loads. First of all, let's just sort out, how much do you run in a week? What's your routine?
Oh, it's a lot less. I mean, Harry, you're like king of running now. I definitely have reined it in because I kept getting injured because I was running too much. And so I'm training for the marathon and I want to do well this year and I don't want to get injured, which is what's happened the last few years because of overtraining.
Okay.
So I'm now I'm now only allowed to run 3 times a week. It's not like there's like running police out there stopping me, but I've been advised to only run 3 times a week, which is amazing because now when I run, I'm really excited about it. But also because I'm busy, it's hard to fit running in, so I don't feel as guilty missing a run now.
No.
Okay, are you doing your strength training, Jenny?
I'm doing running, I've reined in the strength training a little bit as well. I was doing 3 sessions. I'm down to like 1 because apparently you've got to lay off all stress.
Yeah.
And then I also like playing golf, so I've got to try and allow time for that as well.
Nice.
Okay. The thing is, see, the better you get at running, the more time consuming it is. So
That's true.
I'm quite pleased that I'm bad at it.
Well, I actually think if you're really good at running, you can do it quicker, can't you? So therefore it's over sooner.
But then you're sprinting, then it's horrible.
Well, the thing with running, though, it's like when you start, you get really fast gains. If you're trying to get a good 5K or a good 10K, like your gains are so quick and it's so exciting. And then it plateaus quite quickly. And then it's just a game of consistency. And that's when it gets hard because you are... So, for example, myself, I'm trying to knock, 5-10 minutes off my marathon time. And I'm putting in 4 months of hardcore training just to get 5-10 minutes quicker.
And what do you win if that happens?
I win kudos on Strava.
Fine.
I win some cool points from my friends. Jenny will be impressed if I go sub 3, won't you, Jenny?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, there we go.
I also think that it's just, look, you don't run for anyone else. You just run for yourself, and you might go for a walk and you like the feel good effect afterwards. Well, for me, it's just the next level. It's just a bit quicker. It's just running. It's not super fast, but no matter what you do, whatever your hobby is, you get something out of it, which is why you keep coming back for more. And just for me and for you, I guess, Harry, it's running.
Yeah.
And I know you do some running. So
I do a bit of running, and I actually love the feeling of it. But I don't like I would never have a personal trainer because I cannot be told.
Al, can we just chill out in the running chat a bit? Because I feel like, you're always talking about running and I just think we want to...
so funny. But Jenny, is this your 10th marathon?
This is my 10th London Marathon. Yes, so I'm really excited about it because I want to do well. Last couple of years I've really struggled with injury. So this year I'm taking it so blooming seriously. And I'm so irritated only running 3 times a week. I can't describe.
I bet.
Gosh, I'm in awe of you. I mean, 10 is incredible. And I think, because everybody talks about, have you done a marathon? Are you doing the marathon? And I think people forget it's 26.2 miles. That is not something that human beings do. It's hard.
Well, the thing is about a marathon as well, it's not the marathon itself, it's the training that goes into it. It's the 16 plus weeks of commitment. It's the getting out there on a Monday morning when it's cold and raining or freezing and it's just a pain. But that's the hard work. But I think what people often get wrong about running is they look at other people and they go, oh God, you're so fast. Oh, I couldn't do that. But running is appealing for so many different reasons. Me personally, I like that self-improvement factor. I like the fact of this is my 5K time, this is my 10K time, I want to go faster. That's what inspires me and gets me excited. Whereas I imagine for yourself, you don't really look at the time, you just getting out in the fresh air, clearing your mind, and you just feel good after it and you're not fussed about the stats.
Yeah, I like the smugness that follows.
Smug vibes, for sure.
Just, and the fresh air and just being on my own and having that half an hour or whatever just to listen to a podcast with nobody shouting mama constantly. It's just a real break for the mind, isn't it?
I see. This is where I'm coming from as well. And I think when you run, you get a break from whatever you're doing normally. You don't do emails. You don't, you have this complete break from all tech as well, apart from obviously needing earphones to listen to a podcast. It's the only time I listen to podcasts when I'm out running.
Same.
What do you listen to?
Well, obviously the number one podcast in my life would be RunPod.
Second of all, binge, obviously.
Binge, obviously,
Yeah.
after that. I like people chatting. I like everything being upbeat. I don't like misery. My husband's obsessed with history. I wouldn't listen to a history podcast, really. It's not for me. I like the rest as entertainment. I like table manners.
Well, I do like the history podcast, though,
You do.
say. But
do you subscribe? My husband subscribes. So not only does he listen to normal podcasts, he then subscribes to get all the bonus episodes.
Yeah.
We're on holiday, he'll be sunbathing, and I'm like...
Because you finish the episode and you're like, oh, I'm going to listen to this. You're like, have you subscribed? Because if you haven't, you can't listen. So
we went on a romantic break to Paris recently, and he kept going, can we go to Versailles, please? Because I'm listening to the podcast right now. And I was like, no, that is not why we are here.
So, when you're running the marathon,
Yes.
would you choose music or podcast then?
Well, so I actually do line up some podcasts for the marathon, and I also have a backup cup of music. But to be perfectly honest, it's more to be white noise, because when you run the marathon, you can't hear a thing.
See, I used to listen to the whole Miss Saigon soundtrack while running.
Wow.
I know.
That's how long your run was, the whole soundtrack.
I know.
I tell you what,
That's good.
talking of musical soundtracks, you know what's going to be on my
Wicked.
playlist for the London Marathon? Bit of Wicked. Yeah.
Defying gravity as you cross the
I
line.
will be
Do you love
defying
it?
gravity.
As he turns green and throws up, it'll be defying gravity. It'll all
I've
come
seen
together.
the
Perfect.
stage show 4 times and I still just don't love it. Do you know, I don't hate it, but it's not my favourite. I love going to see shows in London. I've become a bit of a West End Wendy. And can I tell you the best show in
Yeah,
London?
go
on.
I shouldn't tell you because I don't want everyone to go,
No,
because
go
I
on.
want to be able to get... The best show in London right now, without a doubt, is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Really?
It's amazing.
And is that based on the film with Brad Pitt when
Yes.
he goes backwards?
So
Obviously.
it's
literally the same name.
Well,
no, that was
but
just
it's...
called Benjamin Button. This
No,
is
that
the
was
curious
the Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
was
So
it?
that was, but that was by Fitzgerald. Okay, so this is an adaptation set in Cornwall.
What?
It's a twist. So like if you can see the flyer for it, all the actors also play instruments. It's like going to watch a Cornish folk band.
It reminds me of Once, this poster.
I loved Once.
This is amazing. It is so. I
Is
bawled
it?
my eyes out. It's
But
amazing.
I like to know the songs. Does that not spoil it if you don't know?
Well, I didn't know the songs, but when I left, I was still singing them, which is good because I've been to other shows where I've left and I'm like, nope, can't remember any of the songs. The other show that's the number 1 for me, it's like number 2 now, Choir of Man.
Never heard of that. Choir of Man.
There you go.
Choir of Man.
Basically, men in a pub singing.
Okay. This is again giving me like Once vibes. Like, I see what your taste is.
No, this is like that, where they bash the bin lids. And,
Stomp.
No, it's
yeah.
not. It's not. It's really good. In fact, if you go early
Bash
enough,
the
they
bin
give
lids.
you pints out during the show.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a story then for this one?
It's pubs are closing down, so all the guys get on stage and they sing and tell you how the pub is the heart of the community,
Okay.
and they have a sing song, and it's brilliant.
And you'll know the songs, Al, because look, they do Queen, Luther Vandross,
They do
Sia,
Adele.
So I work
Paul
on
Simon.
Smooth. It's basically like the Smooth playlist on stage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What about telly?
Can I just say what I have literally been consumed with all this year? I started it on just before New Year. And then didn't have much time over over New Year because I went away skiing. But when I got back, I just settled down, and any free time, Yellowstone. Have you watched it?
Yes.
Oh my God. Have you not? I was going, I am not going to like it. It's a Western. It looks boring as hell. Not for me. Oh my God, I'm so wrong.
The only thing that puts me off, and we were thinking when we were looking this week for something to watch, we thought, shall we start it? But what puts me off is the series upon series. It's like the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I watched 5 series in less than a fortnight.
Jenny.
Now look, Jenny's my kind of
Yeah.
shit.
Jenny.
I would be watching 4 episodes a night before going to bed. Usually I'm in bed much earlier. I'm like, let's just watch another one. My husband had watched like the first 4 series. So he was
Without
just waiting.
you?
Yeah, he'd
okay.
been waiting for me
To catch up,
because I was always going, I'm not interested in that.
But the
That's
thing
rubbish.
is, Jenny, this is about recommendations. I've been trying to say to Al that Yellowstone's brilliant.
You've got to,
but
Kelly Riley is
She's
the
not interested.
greatest bitch from hell. She's like this generation's Alexis Colby.
Really?
She is amazing.
See, this is the sort of language that gets me interested.
Dynasty on a ranch. There's a part in it where you question whether you fancy Kevin Costner, and then you Google that he's 70 and you're like, no, I don't. No, I don't.
That's amazing.
I remember my mum always loved Kevin Costner.
Yeah, my mum did too.
Yeah.
And this is why I was questioning
Robin Hood,
myself.
Prince of
I was like,
Thieves.
yeah, right.
Yes.
I fancy
Everything you
him.
do.
I do it for
But
you.
in
Do it
Robin
for
Hood,
you.
Prince of Thieves, I fancy Christian Slater. But now I'm watching Yellowstone going, well, Kevin Costner, I would look twice. I don't know what I'm saying.
Wow. Okay, well, I think I'm going to invest.
It's so good. And then...
Not that I don't take your recommendations seriously, but I think Jenny's more on the see wavelength
Okay,
because
Jenny.
you hate
You'll
the
love
Western.
it. But then if you like this, right, so Taylor Sheridan, who wrote it, directed it, he is like possibly the best or the biggest genius when it comes to coming up with series at the moment in terms of TV shows, right? So he's come up with this. He's done loads of spin-offs because it's so popular.
I've
So
watched
it's
them all.
1883, 1923.
Yeah.
If you watch Lioness...
No, but no, I've watched the spin-offs of Yellowstone. Have you watched the spin-offs?
I'm going through 1923 at the moment.
Have you done the 18?
Yes.
Yes, that's brilliant, isn't it?
And they've got another one called The Madison coming, which is set, it was originally going to be called 2024. It's called The Madison. It's got Michelle Pfeiffer, and it was going to have Matthew McConaughey, but he's pulled out, and it's now Matthew Fox from Lost. So there's all these spin-offs.
It's embarrassing. She knows more than us about TV shows.
Definitely does.
And then also he does Lioness, Taylor Sheridan, which you have to watch.
I saw an episode of that and loved it.
It's so good.
Because they came onto the one show.
And Landman. Have you watched Landman?
Yes. And well, I've seen an episode.
I went to watch it last night,
So
but
good.
I had to pay for it. And I was like,
Oh, do you not have Paramount?
Oh my God.
No.
Tight.
I'll invest, right, if you tell me it's worth watching.
How did you watch Yellowstone if you didn't have Paramount?
I don't know. It's a good question.
No, yeah, we didn't.
No, do you know what? I think I had it for the free trial period, and then my trial period ran out. I think so. Things with me, Yellowstone. I always say this. I loved it, but after about 4 seasons, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like it's
So you haven't watched Series 5?
because it's all just getting a bit like.
Are you kidding? Right, so
rip
series,
and-
you were talking about Rotten Tomatoes
What's his
earlier. 100% Rotten Tomatoes for Series 3, right?
Yeah.
Series 4 was a little bit less than that, but Series 5, which I've just finished, it was the big double bill finale, the whole series finale.
Okay.
The whole show finished with Series 5 and it ended in America in December. It's so good.
Okay, I'll watch it.
And it
I'll
comes
watch it.
to a complete end.
Conclusion, right?
I'm excited because we are, we haven't got anything at the minute.
Well, if you
And
like this,
this
you'll-
is going to
you'll-
fill the gap.
But if you like this, then you'll probably like American Primeval then.
But it sounds too, I don't like gory.
Okay, it's a bit gory.
And
yeah.
it's like Narcos. I put that on. I was like, oh, I'm not watching that.
Yeah,
I
it's
saw
quite-
a man's head be drilled through a door, and I'm like, I'm not watching that.
Okay,
again.
yeah, it is more gory than Yellowstone.
When I was growing up, there were some films that you watched on repeat. Oh, Calamity Jane was one of them. Sound of Music.
Yes.
Mine was The Railway Children.
Oh yeah, The Railway
That's a
Children as well.
classic.
Did
Did you
you?
watch that?
Love the Railway
So
Children.
good, isn't it?
And I try and get our children to watch it. They're like, what's
rubbish.
this? So boring.
Izzy's one was Pippi Longstocking. so-
Loved Pippi
Oh, no, I
Longstocking
think
and Anne of Green Gables.
Like, what about? Did you watch Slipper and the Rose?
Yes.
Oh my god, I loved that so much.
Amazing. The thing I didn't like was Black Beauty.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
No.
movie
It was a
that
bit
much.
too
tried.
serious and boring.
Yeah. What was the one about that dog who kept showing up in places?
Not
Lassie?
Nicholas Hobo, Benji.
Nicholas Hobo. Lassie.
Lassie. I never
Benji.
got into Lassie.
What about Flipper the Dolphin?
Well, you
Anyway,
missed
we
out.
digress. How did we get onto that?
Calamity Jane. Okay, so with books, recommendations are really important. Obviously, with TV shows, you've got the trailers. With films, you've got the big trailers. But with books, we go into a massive Waterstones, for example, where I live, and there are thousands of books, and you're just trusting the little synopsis at the back. And I think recommendations are so important. So, have you got any for us?
See, I love going to bookshop and I love trawling through them all and trying to find them, but I just end up picking books up that look quite good, but I do not, for love or money, remember names or authors of the books I'm reading.
No, me neither.
So I will inhale a book a day on holiday. The only time I get to read is like on holiday, if I'm away
Yeah.
somewhere where I'm not doing anything. There's no pressure. Ella's occupied. James is with his history podcast. I'm like, I am free. I'll sit there and I will read an entire book in a day. I won't move until it's finished. And then afterwards, someone will go, what was it? And I'll be like, oh, I actually don't know what it was called, who it was by. I've given it to someone else. I've got no way. And the only way I sometimes remember is by taking a photo of it and putting it on Instagram stories.
There must be an app for this, like
There is.
like Strava. There must be a Strava
I literally
for books.
do not know. So I like thrillers, a good thriller, T.M. Logan maybe John Grisham. I don't even know. I've read way more than that. Douglas Kennedy. I don't remember half the authors, but I do tend to also read a lot of books that are maybe like fact driven or like QI style books, just with little paragraphs that like quite informative.
Let's do your desert island binge then. So every guest, we ask for one television series, one podcast, and one book that you would take to a desert island. We've had all sorts of different responses. Some people picking one episode of something, some picking a whole series. There's no rules. We don't care. Just tell us what,
Okay, well,
Go with the flow.
I mean, I feel like after going on about it so much, maybe I should just stick with Yellowstone as the TV show because, I mean, I could throw in another one, but it feels like a curveball after talking about it so much.
It's your favourite of all time, Yellowstone, is it?
Well, it's my favourite of this year so far, and I know we're only early into 2025, but so far so good. I mean, I've watched loads of other things over the last few months that have also been good, and I've blitzed, and like The Day of the Jackal and Black Doves and all these other things, but Yellowstone I think was really good.
I think it's a good choice for Desert Island Binge to pick something that has a good maybe 4 or 5 series.
It's so good. And just Kelly Riley being the best bitch ever in it is just amazing. It's so good.
We've done TV series. Let's do podcast.
Let me think. I think I might go for Smartless because I'm really enjoying it, and they're quite long episodes. And at the moment, training for a marathon, I'm going out for runs that are about between an hour and 2 hours, and they're going to get longer. So I like lining up the podcasts, and I just think it's quite a good one to listen to. I'm halfway through one. You know when your run's not long enough and you have to stop. You're like, oh. So I'm halfway through one with Kieran Culkin. So once I leave here, I'm in my running kit. I will run home and I will finish the Kieran Culkin episode.
Did I notice a running bag?
I've got, because I'm only wearing this jumper, so that I felt like you wouldn't be in running kit. So I put this jumper on to disguise the fact that underneath I'm entirely runninged up.
Jenny, before we go, we have to finish Desert Island Binge. Book.
Any John Grisham.
Any John, or sad and loserish as this is, I have always loved the Iliad because I studied it when I was at uni, and it is amazing. And this is one for any parents. And I brought my little girl when she was about 10 or 11. I bought her the kids version, and it's one of the books that she has loved the most.
Really?
Because it's all the Greek mythology, all the brilliant stories, but it's rewritten so it's child friendly. And that, I would say, is the best one because then you can talk about all these incredible stories.
Jenny, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for
Brilliant
having
recommendations.
me.
It turns out you put us to shame. You had so much info on Yellowstone. I think we need to really brush up on our knowledge.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Just last question. What's the goal for London Marathon?
Oh, my same goal every year, sub 4.
Sub 4, okay,
That's all I aim for.
I'll see you there. Well, that was Jenny, who is now literally running home.
She was brilliant, though. Some brilliant recommendations as well. And she has finally convinced me to start Yellowstone.
Now, obviously, just to recap what we talked about, I watched American Primeval on Netflix. That is my top recommendation since we started Binge. I absolutely loved it. You watched Breeders on Netflix, which I'm going to watch with Izzy.
Really good, like dark comedy, just easy and funny.
Again, all fours, Miranda July. It'd be good if you could finish that one and move on.
I wonder what the divorce rate is after all fours.
And we've had our first app recommendation of the podcast, which I think is quite a nice little feature, actually.
Yeah, Strava. See, I remember going to have pizza in a place called Strada, which used to do Italian food.
Yes,
but this is Strava, not to be confused.
Unbelievably, you'd never heard of Strava. It's massive. Podcast, her favourite one was Smartless. Jenny delved into theatre. She highly recommends The Curious Case of Benjamin Button in the West End. She said it's her favourite of all time. And also The Quiet of Men singing hits in a pub, sharing beers with the audience. Sounds good.
It does sound good. I like the Benjamin Button recommendation. I'd like to see that. Well, that is all we've got time for this week. Don't forget, Bingies, please do carry on sharing your recommendations, or you can ask us any questions within reason by emailing us hello@bingepodcastofficial.com.
Don't forget you can send us a voice note or a WhatsApp. The number is in the description. Binge is a Viral Tribe entertainment production. And join us next time as we help you sort the binge-worthy from the
Binge-worthy.